Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream right now. Very important moment here in the state of Alabama. We are in Montgomery, Alabama, in front of the Capitol building here in Montgomery. Right across the street over there, you can't see it in the frame, but there is, like right in front of me, is Martin Luther King's church, original church here in Montgomery, Alabama. Very amazing history in this state, history in terms of important moments in the history of our nation. Important bills, important movements for justice. A lot has happened in this state, and a lot has happened here in this Capitol building behind me. So we are letting you all know that there is a bill right now, HB 454, here in the state of Alabama. HB 454 by Representative Ernie Yarbrough. Very important bill. It's a bill of equal protection in the state of Alabama. This is so important for you guys all to wrap your hands and minds around. Abortion is not abolished in the United States of America, though we are grateful that the Dobbs decision happened and that the court's decree, the court's unjust decree with Roe versus Wade is out of the way. Of course, there's many things that are problematic with that decision, but now that's no longer an obstacle. Many people think that abortion is abolished in particular states in this union, and abortion is not abolished. We do not have equal protection for human beings from fertilization anywhere in the United States of America. And so abortion is still legal across the United States of America. You may have states like Alabama and others who had trigger laws where it makes it difficult for their abortion mills to operate. However, abortion is still very much legal in that state. We need to establish equal protection for all humans from fertilization. And so we are here today, EAN, through your support and through your prayers and through all your efforts and work together with us. We're here in the state of Alabama for a bill, HB 454, here in this state, again with Representative Ernie Yarbrough. And so we wanted to do this live stream so that we can inform you that we need your help. We've had this year, because of the work of faithful organizations, pastors, and Christians, and EAN, we've been able to have bills, over 15 bills of equal protection happening across the United States of America. This is one of those bills, HB 454, and it's vitally important for you as a believer, as a follower of Christ, of course, to pray for the success of this bill and for justice for the preborn in the state of Alabama. But we need you to help us. We need you to contact the legislators in this state, graciously, respectfully, encourage them to support HB 454. It's the bill of equal protection and abolition in the state of Alabama. Contact your legislators. Let them know about the bill itself in case they don't already know. Encourage them. Let them know you're praying for them and you expect them to do the right thing, to do the consistent thing, and to establish equal protection for all children from fertilization. That's what's happening right now. And so I want to just make sure that everyone understands what kind of moment we're in. 10 years ago, this movement, the abolition movement, the movement of the church to bring equal protection and justice for these preborn children, 10 years ago, we didn't have what we have today with multiple states across the union with bills of equal protection and abolition. As a matter of fact, the moment we're in right now over the last decade is unprecedented in the history of Roe versus Wade. We didn't have bills of abolition, equal protection, bills that were coming from the Christian church. And now, just this first session of 2023, we've had over 15 bills of equal protection and abolition happening across the country. We are in an amazing moment as the church where we're bringing the gospel into conflict with the issue of abortion. The church is rising up with a consistent message, standing on the authority of Christ and the Word of God with the gospel at the center, coming against the issue of abortion. And you're seeing now more fruitful moves towards justice and righteousness because of the work of the Christian church without compromise, without neutrality. And so this bill, HB 454, represents that faithfulness of the Christian church, pastors, Christians, believers, organizations that are committed to the authority of Christ. It represents the fruit of their labor happening across the country, but here in the state of Alabama. So your bill, if you are a believer in the state of Alabama, your bill is in. HB 454 is in. We need this bill. We have a short period of time left. We need this bill to get a hearing. And we need at this point as believers to contact the legislators here in the state of Alabama in the House, encourage them, be gracious to them, challenge them to do what's right, to give this bill a hearing, to allow equal protection for all humans from fertilization. Very important moment. This is a gift from God. And so I wanted to bring up here at the Capitol some brothers that'll speak to you. There's numerous organizations and Christians and churches that have been working on this bill, including End Abortion Now. But I wanted to bring up Operation Save America, Jason Storms and Darren Stidd, to talk about this bill and the importance of what's going on here in the state of Alabama. So this is Jason, this is Darren. Welcome, guys.
Pleasure
so
to
I'm going to hand it over to
you
you so you can talk to everyone. The main point today is to mobilize the Christian church, of course, across states, but particularly here in the state of Alabama with HB 454.
Absolutely, and it's a pleasure to be here with you, Jeff, and appreciate the work End Abortion Now is doing. The big loophole here, so what we are hearing from locals on the ground here, this is a very pro-life state, perhaps the most pro-life state in the country. And so a lot of people think that abortion's already been banned here. They think we've already done our job. The abortion clinics have closed. We've banned abortion. So a law has been passed that went into effect after Roe versus Wade went down that did criminalize abortion in the state. But there's a major loophole, as you've talked about, as we've talked about. The massive loophole is that women are immune from punishment. So mothers who seek abortion, who get abortion through chemical pills, they're immune from punishment. So mothers here in Alabama, right here in the city of Montgomery, can go and acquire abortion pills, chemical pills. They can come right back to their home here in Alabama. I mean, they could do a live video of their own abortion, and they could shout that abortion, and they could celebrate that abortion, and they are immune from punishment. That is perfectly legal here in Alabama. So what our bill is attempting to do is to rectify that massive loophole and to help educate the good pro-life people here in the state of Alabama to recognize that this loophole has made it so that thousands of babies are still being murdered legally with impunity here in Alabama. And so this bill needs to get a hearing. It needs to get passed. This loophole needs to be closed. These children need to have a voice, and they need equal justice, and this bill will do it.
So, Jason, you made a good point, and that is, I'll just hold it right there. You made a good point, and that's that people don't understand, Christians don't understand, many pastors don't understand that even though you have closed abortion mills, abortion is completely legal for a mother to take the life of her own child in an unjust manner in the womb. And you made a good point that I hope will prick the hearts and consciences of pastors across this state, is that a mother today in the state of Alabama could shout her abortion. She could film herself with a DIY abortion at home. She could take the life of her child in broad daylight. And no consequences. She can do it with impunity. Abortion is still legal in the state of Alabama for the mother to take the life of her own child. Nothing's changed.
Correct.
And that has actually come, unfortunately, with the support of the pro-life establishment. The pro-life industry itself has a doctrine or a belief system that says the mother or father who takes the life of the child in the womb, collectively together or individually, who takes the life of the child in the womb, they can do it with impunity, and they should be seen as not guilty. The mother should be seen as a victim herself, equally with the baby. And so because of that, and it's true, historical, true, heresy, the heresy of the pro-life establishment and industry, abortion will always be legal in every state until the Christian church rises up and makes this about the truth of God, no partiality, equal weights and measures, and we establish justice in a way that glorifies God and is actually consistent and protects these children. That's the main issue.
Amen, 100%. And so the pushback that we'll get from pro-life leaders in the state is going to be, well, Jason, mothers have been miseducated. You know, mothers don't know what they're doing because they've been lied to. And then the second argument they're going to make is they're going to say, well, you know, in the court of public opinion, we won't win this battle. If you're going to try to prosecute moms, you're giving a weapon to our opposition, and they'll beat us up, and we'll lose politically because we're taking a stand that the public is not behind us. We have to first change public opinion. We got to first change the culture. Then we can maybe advance a bill like this. The problem with that reasoning, and what I would say to that type of reasoning is the pro-life industry, the pro-life movement, even in general, has to recognize, yes, moms have been miseducated. There is this prevailing sense in the culture that moms don't know what they're doing. They're victims. But how did we get that? It's not just Planned Parenthood that's been teaching that. It's the pro-life movement that's been teaching that. We've been affirming this misrepresentation, this misdiagnosis of the problem. We've been telling mothers they're victims. And so the only way that that's going to begin to change in the culture is for us to stop doing that. So long as we say, well, we can't make that move right now because the culture's not ready. Well, when will the culture be ready? Because we're just kicking the can down the road. We have to draw the line. We have to raise the bar. We have to declare. You know, it's like I have no problem with people who want to say, well, we got to move the ball down the field. You know, one play at a time. We can't just throw Hail Marys to the end zone. Fine, but let's actually move the ball down the field. And if you haven't even defined what the end zone is, then how are we ever going to get the ball there? And so what the pro-life movement has failed to do, for the most part, sadly, is define what is the end zone. What does victory look like for us? What are we actually trying to accomplish? That's equal protection for preborn children. That means that mothers and fathers who knowingly kill their own child, they have to be held accountable for that. There has to be a penalty for that. There has to be justice, not because we want to punish moms, but because we value preborn children. And the law functions as a deterrent. If we hold this law high, it's not going to lead to thousands of mothers being mass incarcerated. That's not what we want. What we want is a deterrent to bad behavior. The law functions, and one of its major functions is as a deterrent to bad behavior, to teach. And so if there is a law that's presented, a law that's on the books that says if you kill a preborn child, whether you're the mom, the dad, the grandma, a doctor, you're going to be held accountable because we value that child's life. That's a tremendous deterrent.
Yeah.
To cause moms and dads to rethink their behavior. And that's what we're looking for.
And you brought up a good point that the law, even biblically speaking, is a tutor. It teaches. The law teaches, it instructs. So if you want the culture and community to be instructed as to what's right, you can't put bills of partiality and inconsistency and injustice in. It doesn't teach anybody anything.
Right.
God calls bills of partiality an abomination. Unequal weights and measures are an abomination in his eyes. And so a bill like HB 454 is a bill that actually instructs the culture. It instructs them. What's in the womb is human life, precious human life, unique human life. It must be protected equally as all other human lives.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what gender you are or where you're at in the participation of that. If you take the life of a human being, of any of these human beings, unjustly, then the state should do their duty before God as God's deacon, as God's servant, to protect innocent human life and to punish evil. And so HB 454 is a bill that is consistent. And here's what's important. It's a bill that's consistent with what all these pro-life legislators signed up for.
Right.
They say what's in the womb is human from fertilization. All life is sacred, deserves to be protected. This bill says what they say.
100%.
This bill says what they raise funds for. This bill says what the public expects them to stand on. Yeah. So this bill is nothing that is, it should be nothing confusing to the pro-life legislator. Yeah. This bill says what you say you believe. Yeah. And so put it in force so there's
100%,
justice.
100%.
That's the key issue.
Yeah, and so let's have the debate. Let's have the discussion.
I think one of the things we need to speak to along the lines of what you guys were just talking about too here is one of the misconceptions in the church is that legislation is always downstream from culture. So the culture always dictates a direction of the legislation, and there certainly is some truth to that. There certainly is some truth to that. We got a counter-protester coming by here.
He was telling us that we're number one.
He's telling us we're number one out here. You get a lot of that when you come do this work in the culture. There certainly is some truth to that, but one of the things I think Christians also fail to realize is that culture is downstream from legislation. Correct. And so part of the reason that we're having this fight, people keep saying the culture's not ready, the culture's not ready, the culture's not ready. The culture isn't going to be ready until we start actively and essentially and necessarily start trying to pass this legislation that establishes equal justice. We're never going to get where we want to go if we just keep waiting around for the culture to conform. We have to establish a standard and then call legislators and culture to that standard. And that's one of the things that HB 454 does. It establishes that standard and says, this is the standard. Anything less than this, and we have not established equal justice and equal protection for the preborn. And that's very, very important. This is an essential aspect of establishing justice, what we're doing here right now. I also want to say one other thing here, which is I want to ask you guys to pray for Ernie Yarbrough, who's carrying this bill. This is a godly brother. He's the best kind of bill sponsor we could have. He's the best kind of champion we could have. He's a faithful brother who's been discipled well and lived to serve the Lord over the course of his life. He loves preborn children, and he loves the Lord. He loves the legislators that are in the House with him. He's always praying for them. He cares very deeply about them. He cares about this state, and he wants to see abortion ended in the state of Alabama. So pray for him as he does this work. We need to encourage men like Ernie Yarbrough to continue to make this kind of a stand and encourage the legislators around him to support the work that he's doing. And that's what we're asking you guys to do today, to reach out to the legislators here in Alabama and to lovingly and graciously encourage them to support this bill and to get behind Ernie Yarbrough as he seeks to end abortion in Alabama.
Excellent. Thank you, brother, so much for being here. End Abortion Now, Operation Save America, working together with organizations here and churches here in the state of Alabama to get this bill, of course, a hearing and to once and for all establish justice for preborn children in the state of Alabama. Thank you, brothers. Thank you.
God bless you.
So one of the things that's often said is that we need, as Christians, to change the minds of those who are in our communities and in our towns and in our culture. We need to change their minds. And the truth is, a Christless conservatism will never change the heart and mind of your community. A Christless conservatism it robs people of what God says must take place. You must be born again. There must be a new heart and a new mind, and that's something that is divinely given by God. It's a gracious act of God, but it only occurs through the proclamation of God's truth and his gospel. And so we're never going to see our communities change, our cultures change, without the word of God and the message of Jesus Christ. And so what you're seeing happening over the last decade or so, particularly with all these bills coming in, is you're seeing the success of the Christian church, spiritual success of the Christian church actually speaking God's truth into this issue. So this year, this session, over 15 bills of equal protection across the country. How did that happen? Did it happen through the massive pro-life establishment and pro-life movement? No. As a matter of fact, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was in Missouri, standing for one of our bills in the state of Missouri. The bills that the Christians put into the state of Missouri, I was testifying on behalf of the bill of equal protection and abolition, and the two opponents to the bill that sat down before the legislature were the two leaders of the pro-life establishment in the state of Missouri. And so Planned Parenthood was there that day. Planned Parenthood was there that day, and they were on the books to speak against the bill. And when they saw that two of the largest pro-life groups were there to oppose the bill of equal protection and abolition, they realized they didn't even need to speak or sit down. And so Planned Parenthood let the pro-life establishment speak for them. And they opposed the bill of abolition in the state of Missouri. And of course, we know they're actually opposing it here in the state of Alabama. And so here's the key issue, brothers and sisters. Nobody changes, truly changes, has a change of mind and a change of heart that is meaningful and transformative apart from the message of the gospel. That's what we believe as Christians. We need to take that truth into the legislature because those are image bearers of God there too. And the only thing that's going to change their mind is the Spirit of God being confronted with the truth of God and being challenged to consistency. And that has to come from the Christian church. It's got to come standing on the Word of God. And so that's what you're seeing take place across the country. And here in Alabama is the work of the Christian church against the issue of abortion. This is not the work of the pro-life establishment, unfortunately. Of course, we say that unfortunately. But the problem is they have an actual worldview and doctrinal position that prohibits them from actually once and for all abolishing abortion or establishing equal protection. And so that's why we're here, again, working with Operation Save America and the Abbotts. Come on up. These are the Abbotts, Paul and Paul. And it's easy to remember. Scooch, there you go, right there. So let everyone know who you're with and what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm Paul Abbott II. My dad, Paul Abbott Sr. I'm representing End Abortion Alabama. We are a 501c4 here in the state dedicated to abolishing abortion here in Alabama.
Okay. And what do you need everybody to know about, of course, what's happening here and what they can do to support you guys? Because this is where you're at. This is your home. And you need the backup of Christians and churches. So what do you need from everybody right now? What do you want them to know, and what can they do to help you?
Yeah, so the first thing is we need you to go to endabortional.org, our website, and sign up for our email list. Also, you can go to Facebook and follow us on there. Follow us on Twitter. Again, that's endabortional.org. So you can just receive updates about what we're doing. Currently, the situation is we finally, for the first time ever, have a bill just introduced about 3 weeks ago here in our state. It's called the Equal Protection Act. It is House Bill 454. And that is Representative Ernie Yarborough from Lawrence County, north of the state, near Huntsville. He's the sponsor of that bill. We also have 4 other co-sponsors currently, but we need a lot more. We need a lot more co-sponsors. There are 105 members of the state legislature, of the state house, I should say. And we need every one of you to be contacting your own local representatives and asking them to support the bill. It is currently in the Judiciary Committee. Chairman Jim Hill. It is up to Mr. Hill whether or not this bill gets a hearing, so we need to be politely reaching out to him and to the committee and asking them to schedule a hearing for this legislation.
And something you just mentioned is really important right now. At this stage of the battle where you're at in Alabama, you mentioned contacting him politely. We mentioned contacting, calling, being gracious, encouraging, giving challenges, be consistent, give this bill a hearing. At this point, we don't have a target or a face over enemies in terms of those who are opposing the bill here, and we need to, as the church, let them know we're praying for them, encourage them to do the right thing, put this before the Lord. Stand and do what's consistent. Establish justice. I'm praying for you. We'll support you. We will help you with this process. The church needs to contact who again?
It's Chairman Jim Hill is the
Jim Hill.
Judiciary Committee Chairman.
Okay.
And as you said, there's some people in the state who have been unfriendly towards this, but no organizations have officially come out and opposed us. This is, again, a new thing. It was just introduced a few weeks ago, so people are still learning about it. Certainly Chairman Hill, I have not spoken to him myself. I don't even know yet what his position is on this bill. This was just given to him. He's not really taken a stand one way or the other on pro-life issues in the past. And so when you approach him as someone who may not really know what he's dealing with yet, he may just think this is an average run-of-the-mill pro-life bill, or he may have had someone tell him already, whispering in his ear, oh, this is actually going to hurt our movement. This is going to set back abortion laws in the state. So we need to come to him, educating him, not assuming that he's just our enemy from the get-go.
That's right. And call, be a friend, be an encourager, graciousness, politeness, respect, but also challenge. Be consistent. Do what's right for these children. Give this bill a hearing. HB 454. Brother?
Yes.
Let me just urge also as a minister, as an evangelist, and a resident here of Alabama, if you are a minister, a pastor, an under-shepherd, an elder, we would urge you, some of you that are afraid of politics, this transcends what we just call politics. This is a biblical issue. This is the law of God. This is murder by all biblical standards. And we would urge you to get involved, to explain to your church the truth that abortion is indeed murder, and that these women are not victims, and that this must be stopped in our state. It's not over here. Just because abortion mills have ceased to operate as it did before does not mean that abortion is ended here. So we need you. We need you. If you believe in the Trinitarian God, if you believe in salvation by faith through grace, we believe you are on our side. And so we would urge you to get involved, to get behind this bill, to show your people the truth of what abortion really is and what Christian people can do with not only their vote, but with their phone calls, their emails, their visits to the Capitol. A couple of days left. We would urge you to take advantage of that before it's too late.
Yeah. Very important. Sometimes you'll see something like this as a Christian. Your heart's in it. You're zealous about it. You're passionate. You're like, absolutely, Lord, please bless that. We need you to move beyond the prayerful, please bless that. Do that, please. But get on the phone. Take 20 minutes to get on the phone and to contact legislators here in the state of Alabama, encourage them to learn about HB 454, but also to support it and to give it a hearing. We have really a limited time left to get this bill a hearing. Let's ask God to part the Red Sea. Let's ask God to bless this. Bless our representative here. Bless this bill. And we want justice established in the state of Alabama. This is about the glory of God, and it's about the lives of these children. And it's going to take the church to stand up and be the helpmeet of Christ, to serve him and to establish justice around the world on any issue. But it has to be done with the gospel, with an eye on the authority of Christ. And so that's what this is all about. We have Christians standing with allegiance to Jesus Christ and to God's word, standing against this. And look what's happened. People have said in the past, if you use the Bible, if you're talking about Christ, you're not going to get anywhere on this issue. You need to be a centrist. You need to stay in the middle. You need to compromise a little bit. But look what's taken place when the church abandons compromise and starts standing on the truth, as you get this one session over 15 bills of abolition across the country. Yes. Because the church is being consistent. This wasn't happening in 50 years of Roe versus Wade. This sort of thing isn't happening. And look what God does when the church plants that mustard seed of faithfulness. It starts to develop into a tree. And that's what we're seeing here. This is going to be abolished. It's going to be abolished. Christ is going to put this under his feet, but he's going to do it through his church. And so we encourage you to get involved. That means get on the phone. Make the worshipful sacrifice of getting on the phone to contact who you need to contact here to say, hey, give that bill a hearing. I'm praying for you. Do what's right before God. Give HB 454 a hearing. That's what we're asking you guys to do today here in the state of Alabama. Thank you, brothers, for being here. So, Operation Save America website, where do we send them? OperationSaveAmerica.org. OperationSaveAmerica.org. We got to find a shorter website domain for them. And then, Paul? EndAbortionAL.org. And, of course, you've got EndAbortionNow.com. These are the sites you can go to learn more, to get connected. I want to say thank you to everyone who came out here today in the Alabama heat. It's wet here. Holding signs. That's the bill, HB 454. Please be a part of this. This is a work of the Christian church. Paul said a moment ago, transcends the issue of politics. This isn't about petty partisan political fights. This is about the gospel. It's about the truth of God. This is about the witness of the church. What we're doing is coming into the culture saying, you need to turn from the sin of abortion. You need to establish justice for the preborn. This is a work of the Christian church saturated with the gospel. That's what it's all about. So if you want to be a witness in this culture as a Christian, a faithful Christian, glorifying God, then we want to encourage you to be part of this movement. Get involved. Support the team that's here in Alabama. Support Operation Save America, all the wonderful work they're doing. Support End Abortion Now. And all these organizations and churches that are present here, we're working together. We're working together. This isn't my bill. It's not our bill. It's not their bill. This is a bill that comes from the Christian church. That's what it's all about. And so be a part of this. We want you to join this movement with us. If you have any questions, contact the Abbotts. If you have any way you want to support and help, message, call, contact, and most importantly, what we need you for right now is we need your hands, your ears, your mouths, your fingertips to contact these legislators, encourage them, be gracious, encourage them to give the bill a hearing, HB 454. Thank you all so much for all that you guys consistently do to give and to support and make these things possible, and especially for your prayers. But now we need your feet and your hands, so please join us. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and please do share this across your social media platforms. If you know pastors in the state of Alabama, send this message to them. Put us into contact with your pastors. We'd love to help them, encourage them, and support them here in their own home state in establishing justice for the preborn. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you.